loads of colour, loads of variety, loads of nutritional benefit. And obviously when you're thinking about creating recipes just with vegetables, what you have is an abundance of flavour, because vegetables are just delicious and fantastic when you know how to cook with them properly. Working within limitations actually gets your creative juices flowing even more.
Welcome to the Good Food Podcast with me, Samuel Goldsmith. Today we're talking about plant-based cooking that's bold, comforting and built for real life. My guests are the creators behind BOSH, Henry Firth and Ian Theasby. They've helped change how millions of people think about plant-based food, one big flavoured recipe at a time. From best-selling books to viral videos, and now a new ready meal range. This is a conversation about making plant-based eating accessible, exciting, and genuinely delicious, whether you're vegan, flexitarian, or just curious. And so, welcome Ian, welcome Henry.
Thank
Looking
you.
at the right one as I say that.
To be here. Henry,
Ian.
Ian with not so much hair.
Well, you've got loads, you just shaved it short.
Yeah, I had it shaved on Saturday actually.
Did you? It's looking good.
For today.
Thank you very much. Exactly.
What, did you have yours done for
No,
today?
I haven't had my beard trimmed either. So I'm going to do that this afternoon, sorry.
What I'd like to know is, what did you have for dinner last night?
What did I have for dinner last night? We didn't really have dinner last night. I'm trying not to eat too late for my sleep. So my dinner would have been about 4 p.m. and it was homemade kind of pasta and tofu and then pimped out pesto.
Nice.
Yeah, so quite basic really.
But no, sounds
but
good.
we were kind of out with friends until late and it just didn't really become a dinner evening.
Sure.
I had a tray bake actually, and the tray bake was it's quite good. I'm quite glad you asked that question because the tray bake was seasoned with our brand new BOSH seasoning. So essentially,
I had the BOSH seasoning on my pasta as well.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's great.
So it was tofu, tomatoes, red peppers, and then lots and lots of the BOSH seasoning. I went for the sweet and smoky variety, nutritional yeast based, and had it with a salad, and it was filling and delicious.
Yeah. So because we're going to talk about your book later, which is also new, but your range of like ready meals and seasonings has just come out, or?
Yes, we had a range of meals and pizzas launch in the back end of last year.
Nice.
So just before Christmas. And they were available in Tesco. But we've also got nutritional yeast, which we've been selling for ages, which for people who don't know is a delicious cheesy sprinkle that you should add to anything. Makes a great mac and cheese, makes a great alternative to Parmesan.
Of course,
high in fibre,
for
high in
pesto.
vitamins, high in protein. But we've now made some seasoning mixes with nutritional yeast. Ooh. So they're healthy, packed with fibre, packed with protein, but also really, really tasty.
And for people that don't know, nutritional yeast is like normal yeast you'd use in baking?
It's like a cheesy sprinkle. It makes things taste cheesy and it makes things more umami and it also adds a load of health benefits. Nice. So it's just a kind of wonder sprinkle.
So it's like a wonder sprinkle for vegans?
Yes.
And
well, for everyone else
too. Yeah.
So if you were to go to a supermarket and buy a spice blend, just a generic off-the-shelf spice blend like... can you say like brand names on here?
Yeah.
If you were to buy like, I don't know, Nando's or something like this, look on the back, you would find there's quite high salt content in those spice mixes, which they use to get that flavour. Our seasoning blends have very, very little salt because the flavour's coming from the nutritional yeast, plus you get the fibre, the protein and the B vitamins,
And so it's something that's become more mainstream now, because years ago you'd check a vegan cookbook and it would say nutritional yeast, and I'm like, where the hell do you get that?
Yeah.
Whereas now I guess you can get it anywhere pretty much.
I think we're making it mainstream, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, we stock it in various supermarkets. There is a couple of other brands doing it as well, but I think nutritional yeast has gone from this really esoteric, odd ingredient that only vegan kitchens would have in to now people who are keen on cooking and keen on flavour. They have it in their kitchen and you can pop it in anything. For instance, I mean, obviously we haven't eaten meat for a long time, but I should assume that if someone was eating a regular beef spaghetti, you pop a little bit of that in, it will bring out the umami of the meat. It's a great ingredient.
So the thing that I made yesterday, it was literally like a jar of pesto, then some cubed tofu, pasta, and then loads of our lemon and spice seasoning.
Delicious.
Plus loads of pepper and a little bit of vegan cheese mixed in as well. And you just had this like incredibly rich flavour coming through, and it took me all of 2 minutes to make the thing, apart from roasting the tofu. So I think it's just like quick fire addition of flavour to any dish.
How do you feel like veganism's changed since, I mean, gosh, that was like 10 years ago probably.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's interesting. So you mentioned that we're creators, and we always built this as a brand. That was always the plan. So from the beginning, we called it BOSH, and it was always meant to be products on shelf.
Sure.
Us making stuff on video and talking on podcasts and writing cookbooks was just kind of our way to get those products on shelf. But it is true, we did live the life of creators for a few years, but it was always with a view to building a brand. But I think that we never liked the V word. Not because we disagree with what it entails, but just because it is alienating to a lot of people.
Sure.
I think that you had this growth spike from when we started making videos in 2016. Lots and lots of awareness, lots and lots of hype, lots and lots of kind of excitement, particularly around these new alt meats.
Yes.
And then you had, as you often do with like new stuff, whether it's alt meats or electric vehicles or streaming music or Elon Musk, you have like, you know, big hype and excitement, and then over expectations, and then you basically have this kind of inevitable decline. And I think that's what happened is it's normalized, which is loads of people are eating vegan or eating plant-based. It's not a weird thing anymore. It's become mainstream. It was our mission to make it mainstream. But because it had a bit of a kind of overextension and then a, you know, consolidation, everyone's like, oh, it's gone. It's not gone anywhere. It's like products in all of the supermarkets. Plant milks are massive. You know, you could only get a falafel wrap back in the day in the supermarket, and there was nothing in prep. Now you can get food options everywhere.
And I think like the quality you're saying there about alt meats, that's the thing I think I struggle with like plant-based cooking and eating, is that when it's like just use, it will say like plant-based bacon or whatever, and you're like, well, it just doesn't quite sit right with me, which is what I really like about your cookbooks, is that it's not, you're not kind of saying be a vegan and just swap something that looks like it. It's actually like using tofu or like you were saying, nutritional yeast and stuff.
So this book specifically, it's 100% whole food plant-based ingredients, and everything in there is it's just really good for you. You know, it's great fiber content. We make sure that there's a lot of protein, most of the recipes in there as well. Loads of color, loads of variety, loads of nutritional benefit. And obviously when you're thinking about creating recipes just with vegetables, what you have is an abundance of flavor, because vegetables are just delicious and fantastic when you know how to cook with them properly. And what we've done with this book in particular is 10 years worth of writing plant-based recipes every single week and releasing videos every single day. All of that learning has gone into that book, and I think I'm safe to say that it's the best one that we've done yet, because we wrote within the parameters of everything has to be under 30 minutes. Everything has to be whole food plant-based. Everything has to have a good amount of protein, nutritional value. And I think working within limitations actually gets your creative juices flowing even more. And what you're left with is a damn good book, if I don't say so myself.
It's interesting, the process point, right? Because in a sense, it's a really good benchmark for most people is to think about like, how can I reduce the amount of processed things in my diet? But it's not limited to eating vegan. It's like there's loads of processed food wherever you are. And what's I think is nice about this book and nice about this kind of growth in people eating more plants is there are basically two healthiest diets. Out of all of the diets one could choose to eat, there are two that win. And any of your listeners can just go and, you know, have a conversation with your favorite large language model and go and check this out, fact check this. But, you know, the two that would win every time would be either a true Mediterranean diet or a whole food plant-based diet. Those are the two that come out on top. Probably your Mediterranean would come out on top by a whisker. But the only reason the Mediterranean diet would come out on top is because it's easier.
Oh, okay.
Because there's just more options
Is it
available.
like the protein building as like with? Am I right? With plant-based, you have to be quite careful with how you get your protein. I think it's not
so much the protein. It's more easier because omega-3s, you can get them from oily fish rather than having to supplement. So we take an algae-based supplement for omega oils. But also just abundance of options. Actually, the protein and the meat thing is a bit of a red herring because it's a lot of saturated fat if you choose the wrong kind of meat. So, and it's best to limit saturated fat in one's diet. But the key thing is that Mediterranean is great. And the reason true Mediterranean is great is because it's about 96% plants, like the blue zone diets. People are just eating plants and maybe a little bit of oily fish or a little bit of lean meat from time to time. Like that's the true Mediterranean. That's one of the healthiest ways to eat. Whole food plant-based, if you remove the ease, scoring mechanism and you just say, like, in absolute terms, which is the best diet, it's going to be whole food plant-based, because you've just got that tiny bit more nutrient density in the plants. Okay. As long as you're doing the right job of supplementing your omega oils, B12 and vitamin D.
And so what is a whole food plant-based diet?
Well, just veg-based, basically. Okay. So it's not having your meat mimics. It's kind of getting your protein from lentils, from chickpeas, from tofu, which is obviously a processed ingredient, but it's a clean processing.
Minimally processed, yeah.
And that's soybean curd, right?
That's correct,
And soybeans, if I'm right, are a source of
complete protein.
Yeah,
all of the amino acids,
Yeah, and it's tofu is something that you'll find in this book loads, and the reason for that is because the texturally it's fantastic. If you want creaminess, you go for silken tofu. If you want firmness, you go for firm tofu. If you want to really get the bite and the chew, you can roast it to sort of draw out the moisture and impart the flavour and get it really, really satisfying. Because I think actually a lot of people, when they first leave meat behind and gravitate over to a plant-based diet, the thing that they miss the most is the texture, the bite and the chew, and tofu just gives you that beautifully.
So the core tenets of a whole food plant-based diet would be, purely vegetables. You'd be having lots of pulses, lots of whole grains, lots of leafy greens, all of the different colours of plants, right? So you'd have like red, orange, white, purple, dark green, light green, yellow, all of that. Nice. All of those contain different phytonutrients or phytochemicals, different things, substances that do great things in your body. So you'd be having all of those on a regular basis. Your main protein source is going to be beans and legumes.
Very popular now.
Nuts and seeds. Yeah. Nuts have the healthy fats as well as the proteins, and the beans come with fiber, B vitamins, loads of other good stuff. So throughout that diet, you've got loads and loads and loads of nutrients, and you're not going to be having that much fat. You're not going to be limiting the fat, but it's going to be just a high quality of fat, maybe just a little bit of olive oil, which is also really good for you. And if anyone's eating that, they're going to be a very healthy individual with, great blood pressure. It's quite hard to do, just because you're just cooking a lot of the time. And, there's other stuff that tastes loads better that you can buy in the supermarket, which is the problem that all of us have.
Which is why you've done your not ready meal. Would you call them ready meals?
Prepared meals. Yeah. So the prepared meals that we've got on shelf are all again whole food plant based, and they're all based on recipes from our books. So the flavour is obviously fantastic. They're hearty enough for dinner, and then they've got a lot of plant points as well. And we were really sticklers for the amount of protein, because that's always obviously the explosion in popularity in protein in the last maybe 2 to 3 years is really marked. So all of our ready meals have got at least 20 grams of protein, and they're just delicious. And we're actually so we put them out in October with the 6 of them, and then we've got 2 pizzas as well. But in the next range review in April, we've got 2 more meals we've got coming out, and they're again really, really fresh for the summer, because if they're coming out in April, and they'll be packed full of protein too.
Fab. And I should just say, your book is called More Plants. Yeah, I think we mentioned that.
Yes.
Great. And when you did start off with your plant-based diet, what was the trigger?
So Ian was first.
Yeah.
We were living together. We've been friends for decades, but at the time we were living together and working together. So imagine what that's like living with your mate, being late 20s. And working together on the same job. It was quite intense.
And what were you doing then?
That was a tech company.
Okay.
It was a messaging app that I founded, and Ian kind of co-founded a little bit later, but came along and we built it together. And Ian decided to go vegan for a challenge.
That's right. It was the back end of 2014. I just wanted to. I didn't feel good. Didn't look great, and I just wanted to kick off the new year with a New Year's resolution. And the New Year's resolution was vegetarianism. After a couple of months of doing the vegetarian thing, felt great. A friend of ours, Adam, told us about veganism or plant-based food, and it's solely plant-based food. Gave it a whirl, felt even better, and stuck with it.
Wow.
Yeah,
I thought that was nonsense at the time. I was quite unimpressed, and I remember having a freezer full of high welfare meat that had come straight from a farm.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And I was probably on a ketogenic diet by my personal trainer. So I was not impressed with Ian's vegan food, but I was like, it mattered to me that we live more sustainably. And at the time I was quite focused on trying to be more sustainable. So when Ian showed me the film Cowspiracy and I realized that our food has a carbon footprint, the way forward became clear to me, and I had to admit that Ian was right, and I went vegan, and I also felt amazing after that. And I think like the key thing here is, you know, that was an unknown truth back then in 2012. People didn't really think about the carbon impact of their food and the environmental impact of their food. Now we live in a world where people do, and they are aware of that. True. We don't have the problem of lack of awareness now. Now the problem we have is so much misinformation. It's hard to like understand which is the correct source of truth, which is interesting. It's like there's so many different truths out there, people peddling different opinions. It can be hard to understand where the actual data points.
I think, especially with TikTok, I feel like it's got. I think I was reading somewhere like only 2% of health claims on TikTok are actually true.
There you go. Well, that's why I mentioned the LLM, right? Anyone listening to this should go and anything you're interested about that we say, you should go and fact check it. Because I think it's really important that people go and do their own research. Because
you can even say, "Are you lying to me?" and it will tell you, "Yes, I'm lying to you."
That's right. Yeah. You can obviously lead it to be objective, though. So you can kind of train it to not just confirm what you already think to be true.
Yes,
that's a good thing to do for sure.
So where did you meet? Because you've got similar accents.
Sheffield. Yeah, we met when we were 11 years old at High Stores School in Sheffield.
High school?
No, High Stores.
High Stores.
High Stores School, yeah.
Some other famous people went there as well. There was
Kyle Walker, the England captain, he went there.
Yeah. Tom Ellis, who plays Lucifer in the film.
He was on Miranda as well. Yeah.
Who else? There's loads, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really... it's a nice school, state school up in Bents Green, which is a kind of one of the nicer areas of Sheffield. But I think we're really lucky because if you look at our immediate social group, there's just been, everyone seems just like we're still mates, really good mates with all the guys that we grew up with, which I think is quite rare, being 41 years old. And, you know, there's barristers and doctors and lawyers and all of these people who've just come out of this state school in Sheffield.
Most of them are non-white. Like most of our friends are non-white and are successful barristers, successful lawyers, dentists. Doctors, surgeons, dentists. Yeah. So it did a good job of training kids to do good things in the world.
Exactly. Giving people confidence, I guess, as well. So, which I think a lot of state schools can struggle with sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I did want to talk about supplements actually, because you mentioned off air before and you did mention B12 and omega-3. Mm-hmm. So they're the things you have to, not have to take, but are best to take if you're eating a plant-based diet. So that's omega-3.
A nice way to think about it for anyone who's listening, right? Like regardless of what diet you follow, is there are two things one can do. One is to fill the gaps and the other is to optimize further.
Sure.
So in the olden days, people would say, I prefer to get all of my nutrients from my diet, right? And it's an incomplete diet if it doesn't contain all the nutrients. That's quite an old-fashioned way of thinking now. The understanding that we all have now is that any diet is going to have some gaps that need to be filled. So some of the basic vitamins and minerals that you need in your body on a regular basis that you might not be getting for your diet. So for example, in the UK, like everybody should be taking vitamin D because we're all vitamin D deficient in winter. You don't have to be vegetarian or vegan to be deficient in B12. It varies depending on who you are. Like my granddad needed B12 injections and he was very much not vegetarian. So filling the gaps is the first thing to do. And taking a multivitamin is an easy way to kind of just fill most gaps, just generally. So there's like the number one most prudent thing to do is just find a good multivitamin and just take that. It's quite cheap. Vitamin D is good. Obviously, we mentioned B12. For us, because we eat plant-based and we're not getting oily fish, it's also good to have omega-3.
A plant-based version, obviously.
Ours is derived. Ours is derived from algae, yes, which works great. That's where fish get their omega-3 from. Because they eat the algae.
Well, I can't take cod liver oil because it just doesn't sit well with me. So I have to.
There you go.
I've been hunting for an algae-based one.
Yeah. But then you can go a level above that, and you can say, right, then you eat a balanced diet, and hopefully that gives you everything that you need, and you try and make sure that you're getting a decent amount of protein so you can maintain your muscle mass. Important for everyone, not just gym goers. good amount of protein is important. And then over and above that, there's just a few extra things one might consider taking. So creatine is now...
I've heard about this. It's one of the most researched
yes,
supplements, right?
huge weight of evidence behind it. And that's a good way for us to talk about, this Instagram and TikTok nutritional nonsense. Like, people can say there's a study pointing to anything they want, right? There's like any point you want to make, there'll be a study that confirms that. The important thing is like how many studies, what's the weight of evidence showing, what's the quality of evidence. There's a huge amount of weight of evidence behind taking creatine on a regular basis. It's great for your body. It's great for your mind as well. It's going to help you kind of keep your muscle. It's going to keep your mind fresh, help you protect against effectively senility, losing your mind in your old age. Also, creatine is great for helping you when you've had a bad night's sleep. So like quite a big dose, 4 teaspoons of creatine would be great for your brain to kind of operate on low sleep.
So if you have a bad night's sleep,
wake up in the morning,
you can take
feeling a bit tired, 4 teaspoons of creatine would be a great thing to do.
I could have done with that. Yeah, because I woke up at 4:30 this morning, so I could have done with some creatine.
There you go.
You just like wake up and you're like, I'm awake now. There's nothing I can do.
It's very cheap as well.
Yeah,
it's quite cheap.
You can buy it for, you could probably buy like maybe £7.50 for a half kilo bag, which would see you through for the whole month. And it's just like, it's flavourless. So if you were having a green smoothie anyway, popping a tablespoon of that in is a great health hack
about it that sounds like something that you paint on your back garden walls, your fence.
Ron seal.
What is that, like the brown stuff that keeps
I don't know.
Creosol.
That might be it.
I've not heard of that.
Creosol,
I don't do enough gardening, clearly.
You sort of protect your wooden fence with it.
Yes,
it's got a very specific scent.
Yeah, and colour.
That's it.
So that's why I was like, it just doesn't seem right. But now I know it's not the same thing.
Definitely recommended. But I think past that point, like anyone can do their own research and think about additional things they might want to take, right? So you might take things like
medicinal mushrooms.
Medicinal mushrooms could be good for your brain.
That's things like lion's mane.
Cordyceps.
You might have lycopene, which is the active ingredient in tomatoes. You might have curcumin, which is like turmeric mixed with black pepper. But I think, and all of those things are going to have different positive effects on your body.
And that's not because you're eating a plant-based diet, that's just purely...
It's just adding extra, right? So if you're having some antioxidants, you might say, I want to turn up the dial on these antioxidants because they're doing great things in my body, or they might be. But I think the key thing is if you're going to go down that level, that's the point at which you should be combining it with regular blood testing. Because otherwise you're just kind of... You could just either be wasting your money or you could actually be doing more harm than good. So I think the basics is like just the basics of multivitamins and a bit of creatine / enough protein. That's what everybody should do. And if you're going to go above that and start doing extra optimizations, then you want to combine that with medical advice.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Right, we're going to move on to favourite dish.
Great.
So I would love to know what your favourite dishes are.
What, full stop?
Yeah.
Ever?
What would your
in the world
ultimate,
ever.
Which is really difficult, I know. So it might change tomorrow. But right now, what would your ultimate favourite dish be?
I think, do you know what? I think a roast dinner is a great thing, right? A roast dinner, well, actually, let's specify, let's Christmas dinner. Oh. Christmas dinner is probably the best type of dinner because it's a dinner that's usually shared with people that you care deeply about, your loved ones. It's a labour of love when you're actually, you get up in the morning on Christmas, and for me now, it's not about opening presents or giving presents out. It's like, right, I need to crack on with the Christmas dinner. And trying to one-up yourself from the year previous. So it's adding another dish or perfecting the dish that you could have done better with last year. And it's Christmas dinner, I think, it would be my kind of death row meal. And the centerpiece of the Christmas dinner would probably be a mushroom Wellington.
Nice.
We included a mushroom Wellington in our first book, BOSH, and it's proven to be very popular. We have a lot of people every year who send us photographs on Instagram of the mushroom Wellington that they've lovingly put together for their families.
What's in the centre? Obviously mushrooms, but you've got is it the Duzelles? How have you called Duxelles?
Duxelle,
that's
right.
Always mushroom, isn't it? So do you then have an extra mushroom?
Mushroom on mushroom on mushroom.
Yeah. Nice.
So what we do is basically we take 4 portobello mushrooms and you flavour them with garlic, rosemary and thyme, and you sort of roast them off for maybe 10 minutes just to start the cooking process. Take them out the oven, and then you make your Duxelle, which has got breadcrumbs and it's got pecans and it has got Again, rosemary and thyme, which
Nice.
is a great flavour for that time of year. And then you basically blitz it into breadcrumbs so it's kind of like nice and sticky. You wrap the portobello mushrooms round this with the duxelle, and then you cover it with pastry. And then obviously you can decorate the pastry however you see fit. You can put some holly leaves on there, or some snowmen, or if you've got kids in the household, they can just come and, you know, get creative. And then roast it for 45 minutes, and what you've got is a beautiful centerpiece which gives you the opportunity for a bit of theatre. Because one of the things about Christmas is when you bring out a ham or a goose or a turkey and it's on the Christmas dinner table, it's about the cutting and the sort of passing the meat around. So we get the same opportunity to have that piece of foodie theatre with this lovely looking thing in the middle of the table. The portobello mushroom Wellington.
And to be honest, pretty much everything else is vegan anyway, or plant-based, or it can be plant-based.
Goose dripping or whatever.
Exactly.
For your potatoes.
But you can use sunflower oil or olive oil. You don't have to use the meat-based stuff, can you?
Yeah.
So that's me.
Can you beat that?
I would certainly eat that. I would enjoy eating that. I think that, you said favourite, didn't you? So I tend to eat a really clean diet at the moment. We've got a 3-year-old toddler, and when she came around and started eating grown-up food, myself and my partner just got really, really good with our food choices. So we don't have much sugar.
Okay.
Everything is quite, as we said before, whole food, plant-based, protein, all of that good stuff. But since you asked me my favourite, now I can't remember the last time I had this. I used to love fish and chips, right, back in the day. I would, when we were working in that previous company, I'd come home and there was this great fish and chip shop in Angel called Sea Fish.
Yeah, on Upper Street. I do, I remember
proper high-end fish and chips. Wow. So when we made BOSH and we started making cookbooks, in our first book, we put a vegan fish and chip recipe in there. So my actual favourite meal is the first half of eating fish and chips. The bit before the grease starts to hit you and make you feel tired and sweaty and like you've eaten too much. And it would be vegan, obviously. So we use tofu, and we would flavour that tofu with fishy, sea tasting things like maybe some white wine, maybe a bit of caper brine, maybe some lemon in there to give you that feeling of the sea, and a bit of salt. Always good to use salt when you're cooking your tofu. Would also probably freeze that tofu because it creates cracks within this kind of centre of the tofu, which the fat then gets inside and kind of gives you more of a flaky texture with your tofu. There is actually another technique for tofu, which is you can actually boil it as well. So boil it in a broth to then give it even more of that kind of flavour inside it. Because obviously normally tofu can be a bit bland.
It can be quite plain,
Hit it with that flavour. So tofu treated like that, battered like fish. Then I would have triple cooked chips.
Nice.
I would have a homemade tartar sauce that's got way too much lemon.
Nice.
Because I'm a big fan of that acidity hit. I think my mum and dad gave me lemon at too young an age, and that kind of sweet, sour taste is just like crack to me.
I've seen kids on train eating a lemon.
Yeah,
their parents just giving them a lemon.
I don't think it's a very good idea.
It's not good for your teeth, is it?
And it's very sweet, so I think you're training them to like sweet things. So thanks, Mum and Dad. And then I would have, obviously, minted mushy peas alongside. And the first 10 to 15 minutes of eating that, when it was really hot, I'd be very happy. And it would be absolutely covered in vinegar, salt, and ketchup.
It's that, for me, what I love about fish and chips is that you get too much from a fish and chip shop. But that's also what I don't like. It's like if you ever eat it in the fish and chip shop, the way you can, and you get it and you're like, that is not enough chips. Because when you get takeaway, it feels like
there's
so
just,
much.
Mountains.
But then you feel awful, I suppose, 15, 20 minutes later.
The first half of eating it. I can't remember the last time I ate that. No. You can't buy it anywhere, really, so you have to cook it. And who's cooking that at home?
Right, we'll move on to culinary confessions.
Oh, goodness.
Did I not just make a culinary confession?
You did make a culinary confession. What happened after the BBC Food and Farming Awards, all those years ago?
Well,
okay, right. So basically you're outing us for what we just told you.
What you told me downstairs. You said it would make a good story, so I'm not going to lose it.
You can. Let's do it.
Neither of us drink alcohol anymore. But as you say, we were quite inebriated at that event in Bristol. And we got kicked out of our hotel. being a bit too drunk.
Yeah.
And there was no other hotels open. So we had to just get the train home at, 5 a.m.?
Yeah. Funnily enough, it was food related, the reason why we got kicked out or politely asked to leave. It was because we were both absolutely starving hungry, and we were like, is the kitchen still open? And he's like, no, the kitchen's not open. It's, half 12 at night. And we're like, come on, please, just sort it out. And he goes, if you ask me again, then you're not allowed to stay here. And we asked him again. Yeah. And he said, you must leave. And we said, okay, great.
It was 10 years ago, so,
But also,
we're good boys now. But we were hungry and drunk.
The vending machine just wasn't cutting it.
Yeah.
Although you're in Bristol at midnight, like, there's places to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than the
I think it
hotel.
was later than midnight, wasn't it?
Probably.
Yeah.
I imagine so.
Not fun.
Right, what is the one dish you make better than anyone else?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I would say there's many more dishes than one that we make better than anyone else. There's a big list of things for us to choose from, but I would say that a showpiece for me would either be a lavish veggie lasagna. I will take anyone on in a veggie lasagna challenge.
Very good.
Or our veggie chili is legendary, right? Everybody knows the BOSH Ultimate Chili. It's a centerpiece in so many people's homes. It's the way to get your kids to eat mushrooms.
Okay.
And it's legendary. So
Right.
I've just said two.
No, I would hark back to the portobello mushroom Wellington again.
Nice.
I think we did it first and do it best.
Great. With the mushrooms featuring heavily here, how do you get your kids to eat mushrooms because of this chili? Are you chopping them up super small?
Yeah. You're making a mushroom mince.
Nice.
So you can use a knife if you want to, or it's a bit quicker in a blender, but it's just very, very, very finely chopped mushrooms. They just become like a mince in the pan.
Yeah.
They behave just like a mince. They don't have the same amount of protein. So if you're after protein, you might want to add a little bit of something else, a bit of tofu maybe, or tempeh, if you're that way inclined, if you know what tempeh is. But yeah, they won't know that mushrooms are in that dish.
And for anyone that doesn't know what tempeh is,
It's kind of tofu's knobbly brother.
is it fermented?
Yeah. So it's basically it's fermented soybeans, and it's got a lot more kind of rough texture than tofu, but great source of protein. It has an odd flavour in comparison to tofu, so it kind of takes a little bit of getting used to. However, once you're past the weirdness of it, the way it looks and that initial flavour, it's delicious.
The way it looks and the way it tastes.
Yeah. If you can get past those things, then that's just everyone's problem, really, isn't it, with anything? What's your biggest cooking disaster?
When we first set up BOSH, we didn't really know what we were doing. We were learning to cook on camera. We could always cook, but we were teaching ourselves to cook on camera. We made some bread, it failed, and then it became the Jackson Pollock cake. And we were just kind of splatting stuff everywhere, and that did not become a video, recipe video on our channels in the end.
It wasn't great.
It was a mess.
You still got the footage?
Probably.
Yeah,
if we
we've
dig it
released
out.
it. Yeah,
that's funny. This is our 10th year as well. Yeah, so we've released our first video in June of 2016. So yeah, maybe we should dig into the archives and get some of the old school videos out.
Lots of bloopers.
I remember once thinking, I really want a spinach pasta sauce. So I just got maybe a kilogram bag of spinach, put it in a blender with some lemon and some raw garlic, and blended it, thinking, this could be almost like a pesto, and it was bloody awful.
I bet it was really
it's like
spinach,
iron rich.
Yeah.
It was kind of like metallic almost, but nevertheless, never made that mistake again.
Have you ever served something ready-made and pretended to make it yourself?
We ever served something?
Well, I mean, we've done. This is a humble brag. We've done television quite a few times, and when you're there going, this is the one we made earlier. We definitely didn't make it earlier. The food technique.
That's literally what you do every time you're on TV. So yeah,
that's true. Yeah, the amount of people that have come on here and said never. They're lying, because if they've ever been on telly,
on TV,
they've done
that's
it.
Literally what you do.
If your personality were a flavour of ice cream, what would it be and why?
Ooh,
this is a really tough one.
That's interesting.
My immediate reaction goes to stracciatella. I don't really know why. Maybe just I'm quite bland and consistent, but with little fun bits in between.
Yeah,
that's good. I like that
To
one.
be fair, I do live quite a monkey life at the moment, being 41, and having a 3-year-old and a business that we're running. Like it's very, I'm in monk mode at the moment. But I think I still have those little fun bits of chocolate deep inside me that come out about every 2 or 3 months.
It's funny because I was just thinking the same thing. And it's either mint shock chip or raspberry ripple. Because raspberry ripple's kind of, you've got the vanilla, the boring bit, but then you've also got the zippy raspberry.
Never underestimate vanilla.
Yeah, you know? Well, that's true.
Nothing wrong with vanilla. Original and best.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. What about you? What's your flavour?
God.
What would you be? Has anyone asked you that before?
Yeah, I think once, and I said rum and raisin.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
But that's just because it's my favourite. But I also, because I think a bit in the same way, like I'm mostly sober, but then sometimes I'll get
Fall off the wagon.
absolutely
Isn't
wasted.
rum and raisin mostly rum?
Maybe.
With just a little bit of fruit.
Sometimes, basically all I do is I drink constantly and sometimes I have some fruit.
Perfect.
Yeah. That's it. You're opening a themed restaurant based on your life. What would you call it? And what is the signature dish?
A themed restaurant based on my life.
You could do a duo one. You could do it.
Yeah, I suppose,
I mean, you'd have to call it BOSH, really,
Yeah,
wouldn't
we
you?
could
But
call
if
it
you
BOSH.
didn't call it BOSH,
I think we'd call it something boring like whole.
Whole.
WHOLE, not HOLE. Whole.
Okay.
And it would be food that is designed to make you really healthy and really happy and kind of make your insides sing, but also taste absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
Because we can all be eating that way.
Yeah.
But most of us don't.
you could call it stracciatella, and then you have the fun bits, some fun times in the restaurant.
Our stracciatella would be made with, almonds and oat milk and just good things.
My brain's just been ticking there about how, and it's actually just popped in. This is quite a good idea for a restaurant potentially.
Go on.
You could call it the Runners.
Right.
So the restaurant is called the Runners, and the idea, it would be in central London, and it would serve as a restaurant. So running clubs could congregate there at the beginning, right? And you go there like half an hour before you run. You get your carb load in, so you can get your porridge in, and then you can go and drink your green juice and like smash a couple of espressos, and then run.
Yeah.
Go and do your run or whatever, and then land back, and then the Runners restaurant would give you the fuel that you needed to kick off the rest of your day. So it would be protein and carbohydrate heavy. It's actually not a bad idea.
They have bike coffee shops, don't they?
Yeah.
In London. There's like you can go and
Radford.
get your bike fixed and have a coffee.
Yeah.
So.
My only concern is that the Runners does have a slight connotation that it's going to make you...
Might need a new name.
Yeah, what
Maybe
would
call
you
it
call it?
Ultra.
Ultra,
The Ultra Cafe.
Ultra Cafe.
Because people worry they're going to, they're going to catch you anyway.
Yeah,
So
no, that's good.
you could be like, come here and you'll definitely shit yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the one misconception people have about you that you'd like to change?
So I got this yesterday. We were round
great.
at a friend's house, and what did he say to me? Oh yeah. So what do you do? This is like a new friend.
Okay.
Right? Parenting friends.
Yeah.
And he was
Oh,
like,
the most boring kind.
So what do you do? Because BOSH can't be your full-time thing, can it? Oh. So I don't think he was meaning that in a derogatory way.
Oh,
but
I think he was.
He probably just saw, the odd book and some videos, and didn't realise that we have a team of right now about 15 people just down the road at Hammersmith Broadway.
And they were still late, ladies and gentlemen.
Putting products in supermarkets, making 5 different videos for social media every single day. Yeah. So I think people think that me and Ian are just like living the high life and hanging out and don't really do much work. And actually it's a grind. Yeah. We work very, very hard, as do our team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing to add on that one.
No,
That's a
great.
great
I think
answer.
it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think they probably see a lot of, put in inverted commas, influencers, which you are not, and think, they do that on top of their job. But actually you have managed to make a business out of it. And I kind of feel like, because you started back in the day of like Facebook, right? And I feel like a lot of people that started then have managed to make a sort of more successful business out of it than maybe now. Because I think of like Pinch of Nom, for example.
Oh yeah, they absolutely smashed it.
I think it's because Facebook seems like more of a community and maybe a slightly older audience. Therefore, they've got a bit more disposable income.
Yeah.
But I think you can do that now on these new channels. I think it's about starting with the end in mind. And we did start with the end in mind. So, Ian and I sat in the Hoxton Hotel in East London and wrote down on a piece of paper. It was actually a Google document, but
you're not that old.
We wrote down our goals, which were create the first plant-based TV show, create the largest plant-based recipe channel, create a best-selling cookbook, and create a range of products in supermarkets. And we spent the next 8 or 9 years ticking off all of those goals. And I think if we just sat there and said, oh, we want to get like 100,000 followers on Instagram or something, then we'd have 100,000 followers on Instagram and nothing else.
Yeah.
So I think it's all about just thinking about what that end goal is and aiming towards it, and then you can find your way there.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, like 100,000 followers on Instagram might sound nice, but to what end?
Yeah. And actually also you've created a business, therefore BOSH could be something without the two of you, potentially. Not that it would feel weird if you weren't there, but it's a company as opposed to the person that's the brand, which
Absolutely.
I think can be a bit dangerous sometimes.
Yes, you're absolutely right. We've recently changed our packaging because previously Henry and we had a little photographers on the front of the packaging, and now we're not on the front of the packaging.
Or even your book as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think we were on so we had 2 covers of Bish Bash Bosh. One of the covers had us on it, but all the rest of the books we've just decided not to have us on it because it's more powerful that way.
Yeah, they actually sell better as well, I've been told.
It's never been about us.
Yeah.
It's true. It's never been about us. It's about the food.
Yeah, exactly.
It still is.
Food guilty pleasure?
Yeah, I mean, vegan fish and chips. I'm probably a recovering sugar addict. I don't eat much sugar, but I love sugar. Yeah, and anytime I walk past like a row of sweeties, I'm like, oh. Yeah. But I don't eat them anymore.
But it was Ian that got caught in the pick and mix nearly downstairs.
Oh yeah, earlier on, that's
you
true.
You didn't give in, but
I was looking. I was like, there's some nice bits and bobs. I saw those Skittles there, but I
saw the Skittles too.
Yeah, ended
out to me.
Getting the healthy-ish bar for my breakfast.
Exactly.
Did you see Barack Obama? And because he used to smoke apparently.
Oh, did he?
And they were just some journalist asked him about his smoking when he was talking about a smoking bill, but really it was just an opportunity to ask the president about
when he used to smoke
which cigarettes he liked. It's probably this old thing that I've seen on Instagram, but I thought it was
or
quite
is it
funny.
AI?
Maybe it's
it
AI.
Could be now.
Very possibly.
It's scary.
Slop.
Best kitchen tip you've ever been given?
Add more salt.
If you could only eat one cuisine for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Italian.
What ingredient is the biggest waste of money?
I think white rice, because it's just stodge.
Worst thing you've ever eaten?
Worst thing ever. Probably that spinach pasta I was talking about before.
Your signature can't be bothered meal?
Pasta, pesto, tofu.
Favourite midnight snack?
Dark chocolate.
What food should have its own national holiday?
Cake.
What was your go-to hangover food?
Burgers.
Yeah, burgers. We did that together.
What food did you hate as a kid but now love?
Eggs. Oh no, but vegan eggs.
If you could invent a new crisp flavour, what would it be?
Pickled onion.
Name a fictional character you'd love to have dinner with.
Fictional character. Johnny Bravo. He's muscly.
Oh, final question. Starter, main or dessert?
Main.
Dessert.
How did it go? What was it? Oh, that is really quick.
Yay.
50 seconds.
Yes.
Nailed it.
That is, I don't think we've ever had it that low.
It's all like creatine.
What does good food mean to you?
I think good food has to be sustainable. And I don't mean sustainable for the planet, although it should also be sustainable for the planet. It should be sustainable for you in your life. So it should be food that is healthy for you, but also tasty and satisfies you and enables you to hang out with your friends and family. That's sustainable food that you can eat that way again and again and again. Because so many people do crash diets or be super restrictive, and then they just inevitably fall off the wagon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good food. I mean, there's 2 answers for me. The first answer is if you're eating solo, it's kind of has to be super tasty and has to be really, really healthy, ideally. But the best kind of food, so not good food, but great food, is food that's spent with friends.
Nice. Lovely. Well, great. Thank you so much.
Thanks
for coming in.
It's been fun.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Good Food Podcast. For more recipes and inspiration, visit goodfood.com or download our app. Subscribers to the Good Food app via the App Store can listen to our podcast ad-free.